Welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast, where we discuss Dynasty strategy, rankings, and all things NFL. So get ready to geek out on fantasy football with your host, Rich Dotson.
And welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Rich Dotson. He's Matt O'Hara.
Hey, you startled me.
Garret Price.
How's it going?
And we are here talking quarterbacks because we're a little bit remote. Garret had a busy day out there in C-Bus, so we had to do this as a remote podcast, which is always fun. You know, the interactions are always slightly different remote. You know, little delayed responses. I can't look at Matt like with a funny face when you're talking nonsense. Garret, you know,
yes, those are the normal looks.
Naked people. You never know what's going on around news parts. But we're back. We're talking Dynasty fantasy football, but a little different today because we are looking in the next 2 weeks to kind of go over like our redraft opinions on basically just like our predictions, which Matt hates to do. Matt hates bold predictions. Matt is a Dynasty analyst. He doesn't like to predict what a season's going to look like. He figures that out as the season's going along because that's what you do in Dynasty. Like long-term success doesn't matter. It's a long-term, multiple years is how Matt likes to look at it.
Thanks for outing me, dude. I thought that was between me, you, and Garret here.
Oh yeah,
that I hate this show.
People are listening.
Huh? Yeah,
the people do know.
All of my closest
people
friends
do know you hate bold predictions. They do know that.
Indeed. I know. That
it's a little different.
That one I've openly discussed my disdain for. But this one was a secret. This one was a secret hatred that I didn't ever tell anybody about.
Well, it's one of those things, man. It's like it's where we kind of stray off of it's like we do 2 weeks of redraft shows. It's just like us predicting and why the top 12. If people just don't like these shows, they can let us know. We'll do something else.
Here's the reason I'll defend it a little bit is we in Dynasty love to look so far into the future, but at the end of the day, we still have to win this year. Like you're still playing the same game redraft people are playing for this year. So you kind of need to know who's going to be good and who's not.
Yeah, we always have like our own, like there's always a surprise in everybody's top 12. Like, oh, you really think he's top 12? And like, come on. Prove yourself. Give me some conviction. And I think I have one so far in today's show, which we're talking quarterbacks, and tomorrow in running backs. And we're not talking about it today. So we're going to talk about quarterbacks, our top 12. I feel really good about my top 12. We'll see how receivers go. I'm sure it'll be just as difficult. Running backs weren't that hard for me to figure out my top 12. There might have been a guy there you can make an argument to be in, a guy like Kyron Williams, a little teaser I don't have in there. But quarterbacks, man, there really were like 16 dudes that I was like, man, like how am I leaving this guy? I legit came away.
I had 19 that I wanted.
Yeah, I wrote on the bottom here, the guy I had 1, 2, 3. I had 3 guys that I felt like really like that deserved to be in there. And there's definitely a couple more after them too. But like these were the guys like, dude, how are these guys not in my 12? But that's the thing, right? There can only be 12 wide receiver ones. There can only be 12 quarterback ones. So having those guys getting an extra point per game really does make a difference. So for me, this was a fun exercise to kind of really see how I value these players going to 2025. So, but before we get into that, I got to tell everybody, hey, man, you know, I don't agree with your rankings, right? Like first of all, you don't even put a G at the end of your ends. So how am I supposed to trust a guy that says rankings instead of rankings? What a weird way to say it. But, you speak your language, I speak mine. If you want to do your own rankings and you want to get them onto an app to say, hey, like this is how my league looks from my eyes, the Dynasty GM is for you then. And right now we're running a great promo called Nerds 30. That's it. Nerds 30. Put that in there. One of our biggest discounts yet to get everybody ready for the season. And like we said, there is no off season for the next 365 days. We're going to give you 30% off any membership, first time payment. So your best to just go ahead and do for the year. So again, 30% off of the 1 month. It's going to give you access to everything we have at Nerds, the GM, the film room, the Nerd Score Plus, the data hub that's coming out. We have some cool Debbie stuff coming out. I just got to see yesterday video of where you'll be able to rank Devy college players essentially inside the app and have it run off of that as well. So a lot of cool stuff coming down the pipeline. 30% off. Nerds30 is the code you want to use. Nerds30, 30% off. DynastyNerds.com or your app store, which is the Dynasty GM. So
make sure you get it before kickoff September 4th. Then it's done.
Oh, yeah. It's the only time the promo's running. So we only got a couple more weeks here because we're that close. Remember, we're talking top 12s. Football is right around the corner. If I had an odor, I would smell it. So it's always funny when we talk about these quarterbacks, like how to go into it. And, I would like to know what everybody's like. Let's just start with our top three. Because I think if we have somebody who's different in our top three, I think it's a good talking point. Because if it's all the same, we can kind of move on because I think it's kind of chalk in my eyes. And maybe the order is going to be slightly different, but so be it. My top three in order, how I think they will finish in fantasy football for the 2025 season. I have at number one overall player, my sneaky pick for NFL MVP. Looked pretty good yesterday as well on Monday Night Football, but I've said this before he played that preseason game because, yes, preseason games will totally sway my opinion on NFL MVPs. Jayden Daniels is my number one overall fantasy football scorer. I really think he gets it done. Not only does he get it done with his legs, I think the addition of Deebo Samuel to go along with Terry McLaurin, I think the touchdown total is just what's going to propel him. I got Lamar Jackson at number two, our number one quarterback from last year. And number three, I have Josh Allen, who is always a top three quarterback. As a matter of fact, QB2, QB1, QB2, QB1. He just rotates in there as a top two quarterback. So me having him on number three is actually an outlier for Josh Allen. I have the lowest he's come over in the 5 years. Josh Allen. So Daniels, Jackson, Allen, Matt, how are you looking at your top three?
Mine's slightly different. I've got Josh Allen 1 because last year he finished 2. So this year is obviously he's going to be 1. So I got him at 1. And then actually at 2, I have Joe Burrow. Going up, going really. I mean, last year he was quarterback 3. And then at 3, I have Lamar Jackson. So I just totally forgot about your guy, Jayden Daniels. Just kidding. He's number 4. So
you hate Jayden Daniels is all I heard out of all that rambling of words.
Sneak preview. He's 4.
Jayden Daniels. Not only do you think he will not be NFL MVP, you don't even think he's going to be a top 3 fantasy scorer. Wow, blasphemy hater. I'm going to write a letter to his mom. She's going to be upset. Probably not as upset as his grandma, but man, harsh words, Matt. Garrett?
I'm actually surprisingly close to Matt on this one. I have Josh Allen 1, and then I have Lamar 2, and I have Joe Burrow at 3. I think when I was doing my projections, just the raw amount of volume that he's going to get, and their best defensive player from last year won't be back. It's looking like he's going to get to just throw the ball a billion times and put up. Did you guys? I mean, like the running back. I mean, they can't do anything on defense. I mean, I know everyone's making a big deal about Bill Krosky Merritt there yesterday, and really Chris Rodriguez was running all over the place. Both of their defense stinks. Washington was able to do whatever the hell they wanted. First string, second string, third string. It doesn't matter. That defense is terrible. They're going to be throwing the heck out of the ball. Joe Burrow is going to be just lights out this year for fantasy.
Yeah, if you like Bill yesterday, run against some of those second team defense, just get a little of their first team defense. If you're on the second team Bills defense, it's really bad. It's why I had Joe Burrow at 4. I'm assuming you had Jayden Daniels at 4, Garrett.
Yep. So we have the same top 4 then, just in a different order.
And I'm the same way. Like I was worried with Joe Burrow, same thing. They're going to throw the football a ton. He was QB3 last year. Somebody who I've said in the show many times, like from a pure pocket passer, that you're going to find harder to find a better quarterback in the NFL than Joe Burrow. He's a Super Bowl caliber quarterback that can elevate his team. The defense, yes, he will be throwing the football a ton. The offensive line, I'm still not like 100% sold on that offensive line. I'm going to be interested with the teams, how they're going to defend Joe Burrow. Can he stay upright? Can he get hurt? He's had some injuries over these last couple of years as well. So for me, simply taking out the fact that of the Russian upside, because you're right, these top 4 guys, I mean, we're all consensus here. We're all in on these top 4. If Joe Burrow was 2 or 3, it wouldn't shock me at all. But for me, I'm going to take the guys that offer that Russian upside a little bit more than anybody else. And Josh Allen for me as well. Like, I'm just wondering how that's going to go, with how many touchdowns he's going to be able to throw in 2025 as well. They're still not a major addition at the receiving position. Yes, Josh Allen's a great quarterback, but their number 1 receiver is still Khalil Shakir. They want Keon Coleman to take a step up. I think Dalton Kincaid will step up. Do we see a little bit more of what we saw last year? I mean, we need that regression from James Cook to come down from 19 touchdowns for that to really kind of stay up high. But all 4 are elite assets, right? These are championship caliber quarterbacks, super flex, 1 QB, any way you want to string it. These are the guys that, carry you through to the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think we have to spend too much more time on these top 4 because, they are all special. The only thing I will add to the Josh Allen, Palmer's been getting a lot of love. We'll see how realistic that is, but I do think that's just going to be a wide receiver room that does anybody get inside the top 30? Probably not, but you'll have a ton of guys between 30 and 50. You'll have like 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah, I mean, Shakir has a chance, but it's going to be interesting. Can Keon Coleman take a step up in his year 2? I'm worried about him getting separation, really. And, I think he's going to be more of a Bills helper than a fantasy football helper. Honestly, the only receiver I'm even remotely interested in is Khalil Shakir, and then at tight end, Dalton Kincaid. So we got our top 4. We're consensus. I think this is where things are going to get a little wacky, because definitely for me, and I don't know how it's going to go for you guys, but what do you want to hear? Do you want to hear my 5 through 7?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Let's do 5 and 6. Let's just do 5 and 6.
All right, 5 and 6. Let's slow the roll down a little bit. Let's slow the roll. We'll stop here a little bit and kind of talk about this, because at 5, I got Jalen Hurts. Finished as QB6 last year. Didn't play. He missed 2 weeks essentially. Didn't really play a lot. Week 16 didn't play a lot in week 17. He did average about 22 points per game. And for me, that it's still going to be the Barkley news, right? The addition of Saquon Barkley, taking a little bit more of those rushing touchdowns away from Jalen Hurts, it's going to hurt him enough where I could bump him down to 5, which is still a very elite fantasy football asset. And honestly, the hater in me, like the way you guys hate Jayden Daniels, I wanted to bump Jalen Hurts down even a little bit more, but that wasn't fair to Jalen, right? That's just being selfish. It's just me hating for no reason outside of, I don't think, that he's the most elite quarterback out there, even though the guy won a Super Bowl, and he made some beautiful throws in the Super Bowl. It's a Saquon Barkley news, because, when Saquon there, they become a more run-oriented team. We saw it last year with how many attempts. I mean, Hurts, his pass attempts last year dropped down. Because previously he was at about 32 pass attempts per game. They dropped down to about 6 less, right around 25 and a half pass attempts per game. So the Jalen Hurts actually threw the ball less last year with Saquon Barkley. And Matt, you kind of talked about this before when we said, hey, they just won a Super Bowl with what they have going on offense they run. Why would they change anything? And that's how I kind of felt too. Like, I think they're going to bring Jalen Hurts back. Where he finished last year is QB6. I got him down to 5. I could have put him down to 6. I think he's going to be right around there, which again is a very elite asset. But I think Jalen Hurts finishes right around that QB5, QB6 range. And honestly, if you made me bet the over under for how excited I am about some of these other quarterbacks, I would actually bet the under if I had to bet more. And that would mean I think he finishes QB7 more so. So at 5, I have Jalen Hurts. At 6, could shock some people, I actually have Jordan Love as my quarterback 6 on the year. This is one I knew was going to kind of shock somebody. But listen, guys, I'm still just as I was when I was telling everybody about a year and a half ago or so, or 2 years ago. Like, I was all in on Jordan Love. Like, I watched him when he became a starter, throw the football, and I was like, this guy is a future star. I need to trade as much as I can possibly. And I did. I got a lot of Jordan Love shares because of it to get him on my roster. Jordan Love last year finished as quarterback 17 on the year. And he did that, and he was banged up all year long. And I know it's so easy to like, what have you done for me lately? What have you done for me lately? I am more impressed that Jordan Love was able to finish as QB 17 last year. And with the amount of injuries he has and how much we know, right, that this offense is predicated on throwing the football. They're going to spread, right. If you want a lot of these fantasy assets, like, yeah, who do you go to? Is it Jayden Reed, Matthew Golden? Is it Tucker Kraft? They're going to spread the ball around a ton. So his weapons, you might be a little confused about, but they are going to spread the ball a lot, and you should not be confused about Jordan Love. His first year coming out the bank just a year ago in 2023, so past last year, he was quarterback 5 overall. So the fact that they have him quarterback 6 is not anything crazy, and they've actually given him better weapons that he has than he had in 2023. The addition of Matthew Golden, who could take the top off, a Jayden Reed come into his own, Tucker Kraft. Mention all the other receivers, even another tight end. Luke Musgrave is a solid weapon. And we all know Josh Jacobs is a very capable pass-catching running back. So I think Jordan Love, staying healthy, we're going to see him way closer to 2023 Jordan Love, where he finished as quarterback 5 overall, than we saw him last year at quarterback 17. That is unbelievably impressive overall, what he was able to do with how banged up he was. I think this offense is ready to take a big step forward. I think that the Green Bay Packers are ready to reestablish themselves in the NFC. Rumors already are out there that they're the team that wants to trade for Micah Parsons. Look out if that happens in Green Bay. But Jordan Love is my quarterback 6, and he is the quarterback I want to put above Jalen Hurts. But I said, hey, think a little bit more logic. Enough's enough. And you're just say on a podcast that's the way you wanted to do it, which is my own rankings. Like, I'm arguing with myself. But yeah, Jordan Love slides in at number 6 for me, boys. So 5 Hurts, 6 is Love.
I mean, Love was a guy that I wanted to get in my top 12, and I did not get him in there. And I totally get why you did, because I wanted him there. There are so many people, we talked about it earlier. There's 19 players that probably could conceivably be in this list. He was the one guy that was like the guy I really regret not getting in my top 12. But anyway, on to my number 5 and number 6. I have actually at number 5, I have Baker Mayfield. I just think, obviously the addition of Emeka Egbuka to an already strong wide receiver core. Obviously, it's going to start a little slow. It sounds like Jalen McMillan is going to be on the shelf at the beginning of the season now, as well as Chris Godwin. So it might be a little bit of a slow start, but I still think even with the pieces that they have in place with Bucky, Mike Evans, and Emeka Egbuka, they're going to be able to kind of roll that thing out. And obviously they have some other talented guys. Trey Palmer is there, and Raheem Jarrett is there, as well as they've really done a nice job the past few years at kind of building up that wide receiver core. So I think Baker is still going to be well off there enough to kind of keep that afloat until everyone's back, and they kind of have that whole offense rolling. And then at 6, I have Jalen Hurts. So I think I see him pretty similar to you. I was kind of going ping-ponging between 6 and 7. I landed on 6. I just think, this could be they could get a slight uptick on the passing as compared to last year, just because I do kind of think Saquon had a really large workload. So I think they could probably dial that back and kind of supplement a little bit more Jalen Hurts in there. So 5, 6, I think is a reasonable spot for Jalen Hurts in my eyes.
Yeah, in Baker, there's not anything crazy in my eyes. I mean, he's at a top 9 finish, quarterback 5, quarterback 9 over the last 2 years. Really gets it done. Has a really good receiving core, like you said, Matt. Jalen McMillan's probably going to be out for at least the first 6 games. It sounds like at minimum, but they just took Emeka Egbuka. He's in dynasty circles. He's the rave going around. I mean, Matt, you just took him at 1-4 in our last rookie draft.
I sure did. Receiver.
And I don't hate that, So having Evans, we don't know how long Godwin's going to be out for, right? He might miss a game, he might miss 2. They haven't put him on PUP yet, so that's going to be a big decision what we see. But he has the weapons to get it done. And remember, Chris Godwin was hurt last year. Mike Evans didn't take a step up until Godwin got hurt. So I think Emeka there really does help him. And listen, Baker is also a person who could run. He had 378 yards last year and 3 rushing touchdowns. So this is somebody that does offer some mobility as well. You get those quarterbacks that can rush over 300 yards. That's such a nice boost to add to your fantasy football window. And Baker offers that. I mean, the guy's a baller, one of my favorite quarterbacks in the NFL. So I actually don't mind Baker in there where you have him. I think it's actually a potential, very solid potential you can finish that high.
Yeah, but before we move on to Garrett's number 5 and number 6, I do feel like I need to kind of defend that number 4 pick of Emeka Egbuka slightly, just because I know I can feel the people yelling at me on that team. I am rebuilding, and I already have Brian Thomas and Xavier Legette on that team, so I was just trying to diversify my portfolio a little bit. I went with Emeka Egbuka in order to have another wide receiver that was not on a team that I already had a wide receiver that I felt pretty good about on. So that is why I ended up going to Mecca. Plus, it was a home league, and it's honestly the wackiest draft every single year. So I was just okay, just adding to the chaos and going to Mecca Buka because people were pissed, and it was fantastic. And everyone was thinking they were going to get him like one pick later, and I went ahead and got him, and the whole place was all up in arms. It was great.
I totally understand the Brian Thomas, but the fact that you didn't draft Tet because of Xavier Legette is a little.
I was just trying to diversify, and I feel really good about Emeka Egbuka, and I wanted to get. I actually just wanted to get. Yeah, I wanted to get an Emeka share. So,
I mean, to be fair to Matt, we were talking before the draft. Like, this is a home league. It's probably it's probably our second oldest dynasty league. It's almost 15 years old. That league is. Yeah. And it's all. You're right. That draft is always a wacky draft. Like, there's always players that go in these different spots. And, I won that draft too. I was telling Garrett about this, and I told about the nerd. I was like, I had the number 2 pick. And I said, same thing. I was like, this draft is always crazy. I was like, it's a home league. So, like, I have a little bit more, like, tendency to, like, go a little bit wildness. We do this draft in person. I was like, I think I'm going to take Trevion over Mario and Hampton. And, I know that's not the savvy move, but, like, I don't want to, like, I've taken Hampton everywhere else I had the opportunity to over Henderson. And I was like, what I don't want to do is regret this decision. Like, I really want Henderson. In the end, I was able to trade back from 1-2 to 1-3 for, like, just to move up in the 3rd round to get Henderson anyways. But I'm with you. I mean, I was in the same way. I was like, I'm going to go in this a little bit wacky too. And that's what's great about these, like, home leagues when you get your guys, right? Like, if your guys in Emeka Egbuka, and listen, I can hear people saying to Matt too, like, well, why don't you trade back? Why don't you trade back? In this league, you can't do that.
I tried trading back. I tried trading back a lot, and it just didn't happen. So I just took the guy I wanted. It's fine.
All right. Garrett, who's your 5 and 6 quarterback? Is it Emeka Egbuka and Trevion Henderson?
I mean, I do love both those guys. But it's funny because I think Matt copied my rankings because I literally have Baker Mayfield at 5 and Jalen Hurts at 6. So we are almost in lockstep. The only difference between Matt and I is I had Lamar 2 and Burrow 3, and he had Burrow 2 and Lamar 3. Outside of that, they are literally identical. So Matt and I are in lockstep. And the one other thing I want to say about Baker is I think, a lot of people are worried about the injuries, and I get it. But there was a stretch where Cade Otton was his number 1 receiver last year, and he put up those numbers. So that's the thing for me is I don't expect much regression out of Baker Mayfield. Yes, he lost Liam Cohen, but he's lost an offensive coordinator every single season he's played. Like, this is just normal for him. I don't know if he would know what to do to be in the exact same offense with the same coordinator 2 years in a row. So he's used to this. This is life for him, and he balls out. So I have zero issue with him at 5.
And the new offensive coordinator, Josh Grizzard, he was promoted from within, right? So, like, he was your passing game coordinator last season. So it should be a very similar offense going forward.
Absolutely.
So
all right.
Before we go on, because we're at now 7, right?
Yep.
We're going to do 7 and 8.
We can do 7 and 8.
All right. Before we go on and do 7 and 8, I got to tell you about something that's great, and that's FastDraft. That's right. Time is running out to do some of these long season best ball leagues. And right now they have a great one because it's the rabbit tournament going on. This isn't your typical best ball format. It's creating such good opportunities for all of us players out there. Definitely us dynasty enthusiasts. They're a little bit more in the know than a lot of these redraft fellas. So here's what makes a rabbit great. 15 roster spots you get, start 8 players, full PPR with total point scoring, and only 10 teams per draft. These are 15 rounds, and they have a very fast clock, 20 seconds. So you're in and out of these drafts just like it's Matt's sex life, very quick.
Oh,
and right now, not Matt O'Hara, not you.
A different Matt.
Different Matt
Williams, former third baseman for the Cleveland Indians.
Quick draw Matt.
That makes sense. Okay.
These drafts are super fast. And the best part I love about this fast draft that they have going on is it's rake free. So all the pot is going to all the players. And right now you can use the promo code NERDS. And when you sign up, they're going to match your first deposit 100% up to $50. That's right, the promo code NERDS. But on top of that, if you deposit at least $10 and play in the contest, we are going to give you a free year to our premium Nerd Herd and Dynasty GM bundle. That's right. Everything you talked about, that Nerds 30 promo for you earlier, you're going to get all of that using the promo code NERDS on FastDraft. And they just opened up in New York. We get emails all the time like, hey, dude, I can't play FastDraft because I'm in this state or that state. And we got a lot from New York. New York, it is now live. So the reason we even did that Nerds 30 promo was give a lot of these people opportunity to get a big discount before the season starts that can't use this great opportunity that Fast Draft presents you. So use the promo code 30, Nerds 30. If you're in New York, you're already a Nerd Herd member, you want to sign up, support our partners, and get some free stuff, we're going to help you out too. We're going to send you a free gift certificate for a free shirt, or you can get anything else you want in the merch store. So Fast Draft, go there today. Download it in your app store or go to draftfaster.com and use the promo code NERDS.
Yeah, and don't forget about FFPC, guys. Time is running out. We are getting dangerously close to the season. But I literally yesterday I was like, man, I think I only did one startup, and it was that Nerds one we did all year. Maybe I should do one last hurrah right before the season. But if you're like that and you want to be a part of a league, you got to go to my FFPC. They've got some hardcore guys that are always ready there to be playing, ready to be in the action. Use promo code NERDS. We're going to give you $25 off your entry fee, whether that's a $35 entry fee or whether that's a $2,500 entry fee. Either way, we are going to give that to you over there on FFPC. So use the promo code NERDS. myffpc.com.
All right. So 7 and 8. These are ones that I feel like are pretty safe for me. I went Brock Purdy at 7. I've said this show many times. I think he's one of the best values in Superflex. He's had a tremendous camp. All reports are like he's looking sharper than ever out there. And he's somebody who is literally never not been a quarterback one when he's on the field. When he's the starting quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, he's from that point going forward, he's going to be a quarterback one. And, is he going to be quarterback one overall? No. Top 3 overall? No. But he's going to live in this 7 to 10 range. He was quarterback 12 last year. But when you look at like even some of these games, because he gets banged up on a per game basis, we've seen him be QB9, QB8, QB6. This is somebody that just really gets it done. And right now, we got to see what's going on with Juwan Jennings. We got Ricky Pearsall coming here. You still have George Kittle. You're going to get Brandon Ayuk at one point. But the big thing here, too, is getting Christian McCaffrey back, right? Those dump-off passes for him. Somebody who could take the top off of a defense by getting to the edge. Very shifty. I love getting Christian McCaffrey back here in a passing game to really kind of fluff Brock Purdy stats as well. This is somebody, Christian McCaffrey is one of those players that wouldn't surprise you. Like if he had 800 receiving yards in 2025. So Brock Purdy is my quarterback 7. And then at quarterback 8 is Pat Mahomes. This is where I envision him, anywhere Patty could fit anywhere from quarterback 4 overall to quarterback 14 overall. That's a wide range. But the big thing for me is the running game I'm a little concerned about. And I think they're going to throw the football a little bit more this year, especially getting back Rashee Rice. Knowing that we have Rashee Rice here all year long is where I can see Pat Mahomes finishing higher than quarterback 8. I do like all the quarterbacks I have ahead of him, though. But, Travis Kelce kind of getting a little bit slower out there as he ages out. You got Xavier Worthy who can take the top off the defense. We saw last year they manufactured a lot of touches for Xavier Worthy at the line of scrimmage or keeping things short for him. So adding him with Rashee Rice, I think puts them in a really good position. I love that add an addition of Brashard Smith too, a pass catcher running back for Pat Mahomes. So I have Pat Mahomes at 8, Brock Purdy at 7.
Real quick, is it for sure that Rashee Rice is going to be available all season? Because I thought his court date was September 30th, so he's good the first 4 games, but he could be suspended after that, right? Or no?
Oh, I said to start the season, not all season.
Oh, I thought you said.
Man, if I did say all season, maybe. It's really weird because a lot of times too, like what they'll do is like when you have those later, they usually push those out sometimes in like next year.
Right. That's what I kind of assumed. So to see it in the middle of the year was weird.
It was weird. I've heard that they might even do a deal before he goes to court to figure out the suspension. So it could that one. I don't know that one's settled yet.
Yeah.
I mean, once they start playing ball, I would imagine, okay, they're not going to give him a suspension until they hear from the courts or whatever at September 30th. But between now and the beginning of the season, I think that window is still open for a beginning of the season suspension to happen.
I read that too, Matt, because I heard they were like the NFL is pushing for like 10 games, and
they're like, which is crazy.
Yeah, like we're not gonna do that whatsoever. So very interesting what happens to Rashee Rice, but obviously losing him is a negative to Pat Mahomes. So I feel comfortable where he is because obviously with a guy like Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy, he could bump up here and always a threat to move with his legs. Matt, where are you at on 7 and 8?
All right, so for me, both those guys that you mentioned are in my top 12, but they're just a little bit lower for me. I'll get to them in a little bit, but at 7, I have Dak Prescott. I just feel like with the additions of CeeDee Lamb, obviously George Pickens is there. He's hopefully going into the season healthy and going to continue to be healthy, and obviously he's only 1 year removed. So, you take out 2024, you go back to 2023, he was QB3 on the season that year. So we know he's got it in him to kind of be in this range. And the fact that, there's a lot of uncertainty around Michael Parsons right now. There's talk that, this is a divorce type of situation. If they lose a key member of their defense, that only makes Dak Prescott a little bit more valuable for QB purposes here for fantasy. So I like him there at 7. I feel pretty decent about that one. And then at 8, I have Steady Eddie, which seems silly because he's not really that. It's Jared Goff. I mean, I think he's maybe Steady Eddie was wrong. Maybe constantly underrated, I think is a better way to put it. Dude just balls out, and obviously losing Ben Johnson, there's a lot of uncertainty there as to what's going to happen, but they also went in-house for a replacement. Basically Goff's QB coach, I believe, was the guy that they promoted. I can't remember his name. We pulled it up the one day. It was some dude no one's ever really heard of unless you're really into the Detroit Lions. But from all the reports, everything seems pretty similar. Even some of the wide receivers are saying they're doing some things slightly different that they all like. You know what I mean? They're running a more diverse route trees and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's all still good news for Jared Goff. And obviously, it's not like the head coach, who is an offensive-minded guy, went anywhere. So I think it's going to be much of the same for Jared Goff. Yeah,
Dak Prescott for me, Matt, is one of those guys that I actually want to put higher because I'm with you, man. Like this is a team that, from an offensive wise, continually are the top of the NFL, right? They throw the football a ton. Micah Parsons is not practicing. Adam Schefter came out either today or yesterday saying, I don't see a path where this ends for both of them in a pretty situation where he basically said he sees Dallas Cowboys moving off of Micah Parsons and trading them because they've hit such an impasse. I mean, they're not even talking.
They made it sound like it got real personal at some point. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how everyone's feeling now.
So with how bad that defense is probably going to be, just kind of like you mentioned it, Garrett, like a Joe Burrow situation, but even worse because they have no run game to even talk about. And Matt, you mentioned 2023, kind of like how I talked about Jordan Love, right? Just what have you done for me lately? Just a little over a year ago, he was quarterback. I have him down as quarterback 4 because that counts weeks 1 through 17. Not 18. So he was quarterback 4 in my results. He threw 4,500 yards, 36 touchdowns that year, and only nine touchdowns. And even going hurt, we talked about this before. Like this is a guy who's on pace to throw for over 5,000 yards last year, and now they add the addition of George Pickens, who is going to be a great fit with Dak Prescott, working the sidelines, pushing the ball down deep. We know Dak can push the ball downfield very accurately. That works really well with George Pickens. I think he's going to run back a lot more digs here. So for me, Dak Prescott, who I have at 9, kind of like Pat Mahomes, if I had to pick one guy who's at the back half of my draft to finish significantly higher, it would be Dak Prescott. Significantly because they're going to throw the football an absolute ton. And if Micah Parsons on that team and Miles Sanders or Javonte Williams are your number 1 running back, why wouldn't you throw the football a ton? Dak Prescott could very easily flirt with 5,000 yards this year. Nothing changes, even though they changed head coach. Brian Schottenheimer is now the head coach. So they're still going to run his offense where they're going to throw the football an absolute ton. You go back to the year of throwing the football. When he finished as quarterback 4 overall, they threw the football the 8th most in the NFL. Last year, they threw the football the 3rd most in the NFL. So the sky is the limit for Dak Prescott in 2025.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I actually have Dak Prescott fairly high as well. Kind of mixture 2 rankings this time, though, because here for me, at the 7th spot, I have Patrick Mahomes. I do think that this is somewhat of a bounce back year for him. Not that he's been bad. He was consistently good last year. He just never had any monster games like we're used to seeing out of him. But he didn't have any single-digit games all season. He was very, very consistent. We just need to see a couple more of those big plays go down. And I think we will see that this year, hopefully with Rashee Rice being involved more this year than he was last year, and with Xavier Worthy being the 2nd year of the offense. And I'm not even counting a guy out like Jalen Royals, who I think could be maybe not good for fantasy, but a good addition to this offense to be another solid, steady pass-catching option. So I'm still in on Mahomes. I have him as quarterback 7 on the season. And then at quarterback 8, I did end up putting Dak Prescott there. It felt a little high, so I'm glad to see that you guys are on board with that as well, because I know that's not a trendy pick. You don't want to pick the old guys to be finishing well. It's always the young, exciting guys. And don't worry, I got some we're going to get to in a second. But I want to give their old guys their shine here. And I think they're going to throw the ball just an absolute ton, and they're going to be very close to the Bengals if Micah Parsons does not come back.
Yeah. And just to put a bow on this, I have Patrick Mahomes at 9. So we're pretty close, I think, on Patrick Mahomes and Dak Prescott between the 3 of us, finishing somewhere between 7 and 9, I think, on all of our boards. And Dak is kind of in that mix as well. It sounds like for all 3 of us. So I think, we all kind of feel good about those 2 guys doing relatively well and potentially better than we think. One note on Patrick Mahomes, don't forget about Brashard Smith, a really exciting, I think, 7th round rookie running back that catches passes really naturally out of the backfield. Another guy that can just be a dump off option that all of a sudden it's, one of these broken plays that Patrick Mahomes excels at, and he finds a guy 5 yards downfield that breaks a 70-yard run, or a 70-yard catch after whatever, yards after the catch. You know what I mean? I can't find the words, but you know what I mean. Just another big play weapon to kind of yards after catch type of guy. So Patrick Mahomes, I think, could very well outpace my quarterback 9 position that I have him in.
Yeah, and my quarterback 9, 10 are 2 guys that we already talked about. So it's Dak Prescott and Baker Mayfield. So we've discussed both of those guys already. So my 9 and 10 are Dak Prescott, Baker Mayfield. We are all in pretty much the exact same range on Dak. I'm a little bit lower on Baker than Matt is. Matt, where are you at 9, 10?
I got Patrick Mahomes at 9, like I mentioned, and then at 10 I have Kyler Murray. So I do think, last year, I believe he also finished around 10. I think he's going to have a pretty similar year. We could see maybe even a little bit more on the rushing side. I think he finished with about 500 last year. I could see him scooting a little bit more. He had 572. I could see him getting around the 650 yard range as far as rushing. I think that's well within his, I guess, what he's capable of doing. But last year he only had 21 touchdowns, so I think he could probably push that up a bit as well. So even if he doesn't get it on the ground, I think the 21 touchdowns could probably go up for a guy like him.
Yeah. Kyler's my quarterback 11, so I'm right with you. And I think the elevation of Marvin Harrison, because it really just comes down. it's Marvin Harrison's not the issue. It's can Kyler Murray push the ball downfield and get Marvin Harrison the ball? That's a question mark, right? Because if he can't, then we're going to be looking at a change. And you're right. Kyler finished his quarterback 11 last year. And the biggest thing that I love about Kyler, and I think all of us can agree, is it's not just that his quarterback throws the football. He's got Trey McBride, who saw like 148 targets last year. I think Marvin's going to take a big step forward last year, but it's just his rushing ability, right? This is somebody who is fast, who can get outside the pocket and run. Somebody who over the last 4 years, he's averaging over 30 yards per game rushing, right? So like he's getting you close to that 500-600 yards rushing every single year, which is going to naturally propel him up. That's what's so great about these Russian quarterbacks. They don't have to throw for an ungodly amount of touchdowns if they're rushing a ball for over 30 yards per game. I think I have him at 11 because he finished at quarterback 11 last year, and I thought literally because of his rushing ability only, that's where he belonged in the top 12. He was a guy like, okay, how do I get Kyler out and get a guy like Drake May in, Jared Goff, who I want to get in there, who I didn't get in, Justin Fields, another Russian quarterback who I just don't think will score enough touchdowns this year to get up there, or a guy like Bo Nix, right? Like Kyler was a guy I kind of want to bump, but he's done it so many times with his legs, and having the addition of Marvin Harrison and Trey McBride, it was hard for me to move him out. So I am a quarterback 11. I have same thing. You have him at 10. It's such a safe pick, like as a low end quarterback 1.
How about you, G? What do you got 9, 10?
So at 9 and 10, this is where I went with the young guys here. I have Drake May and Caleb Williams at 9 and 10 here. So I've talked about this before, specifically about Drake May, how I know I am going to typically be the guy that's the highest on him in most rooms. What I saw from him as a player last year with one of the worst offensive lines and the worst supporting cast in the league was terrible. It was awful. It was awful what they had. And he still played really well in games that he started and finished. He averaged over 17 points a game. So, I mean, he was still really, really solid. Then you add a Kyle Williams, you add a Stephon Diggs, you add a Travion Henderson, and you add the number 4 overall pick in Will Campbell to help with this offensive line. I just think a lot of better days are ahead for Drake May. So I'm willing to kind of, I don't know if I want to say buy low, because he's still a very, very expensive asset. But if he continues on the same trajectory and he bumps from a 17 points per game to more of like a 19 points per game, you're going to have to draft him in the first round. So I'm kind of wanting to get in now because I do think that's the direction that he's headed. So I'm very much so in on him. Caleb Williams, I love Ben Johnson. I love that offense. It's one preseason series, not even a full preseason game, but one preseason series. But Caleb looked quick, decisive, efficient, which is not something we saw out of him in the past. So I get it.
I was very excited to see that because that was the thing that had me most worried about this transition into Ben Johnson's offense. Can he work within the confines of a 5-step drop, 3-step drop, and get the ball out type of offense? And he looked really good doing it. And that's something we didn't see on tape at college. And that was my number one concern coming into the NFL. So to see him do that in a series in the preseason, I don't care that, the end result of that game. I do care about how he looked though in the series that and a half or whatever the heck he had. And he looked good. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm with you. I'm very enthused still on Caleb Williams. And I just think when you look at that supporting cast, I mean, even guys like Luther Burden and Colston Loveland, rookies, I still think that they're a lot better than many other teams' 3rd and 4th options out there. I mean, even freaking Cole Kmet had a good catch out there in the preseason game. So there's just weapons galore on this offense. And Ben Johnson knows how to utilize players. So I think Caleb Williams is just set up for success.
Yeah, I loved that 12 personnel. That Cole Kmet catch, that's quick seam where he just ran down the seam there. Like that should work 9 out of 10 times with the weapons they have in that offense. Luther Burden looked good there. Colston Loveland looked really good there. DJ Moore looked good. We talked about like Romo Dunze is the one that did the least amount in that one series, but you're right. I love the way Caleb looked in offense. And kind of talking about like, I talk about like JJ McCarthy, right? Like a ton and how it's Kevin O'Connell, like Ben Johnson could do absolute wonders with a guy like Caleb Williams. And it would not surprise me in the least bit if he finds himself as a quarterback one this year. I didn't get him in, but it wouldn't surprise me because they upgraded the offensive line. He's got so many weapons to throw the football to, so many safety nets too, having Cole Kmet and Colston Love there. A guy like DJ Moore where you can literally utilize him at any point on the field, whether it be behind the line of scrimmage, at the line of scrimmage, in the flat, anywhere you want to put him, he can win. So love that for Caleb Williams because that's what you want, right? You want to be surrounded, same thing like Jordan Love. He's surrounded by a ton of different weapons. It's just, I think Caleb Williams might have the best arsenal of talent, like when it comes to abundance at his disposal than anybody else in the NFL, right? Like he's got so many weapons. You can argue like, yeah, Joe Burrow's got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. That's fine. JJ's got Addison, Justin Jefferson, Aaron Jones, and Hockenson. That's great. But like, it's going to be real hard to argue that Caleb Williams has with that offensive line as well. So
look at that division, dude. The offenses in that division are
it's going to be fun to watch.
Loaded, man. It is going to be super fun to watch, indeed.
Yeah, the NFC North and AFC North are probably the two best divisions in football, and my team's on the bottom of the barrel for the combination of all those.
There's one team out of the 8 that suck.
I'm trying to petition for a realignment somewhere.
Hey, Nerd Herd, want to tell you about a show that we've been doing live on YouTube where we go over your teams and we talk about how to fix your broken roster. It's called Roster Rescue. We do it live every single Monday at noon Eastern time. And if you want to get a part of that, just head to our Dynasty Nerds homepage, go under the store tab, and you'll find Roster Rescue right there. Perfect opportunity to get your rosters in shape before the season or even in the middle of the season to make sure that you can win a championship.
All right. So my 11, what's that, Matt?
No, I was going to ask if we have anyone fresh for 11 and 12.
I do.
Anyway.
I have a very fresh one. Very
froggy fresh.
So 11, I got Kyler Murray. At 12,
did he do it?
Is a player that I've been hammering home.
It's JJ.
It's JJ. There it is.
I haven't been this in on something since a couple years ago when I was at Hokey Pokey tournament. So for me, I cannot preach this guy up this much and not have him in as a quarterback 1. He is my quarterback 12. It's JJ McCarthy. That's right. The young kids coming out here. Why do I have JJ McCarthy in here? He was a very fine quarterback watching his tape coming out of Michigan. He was fine. Got banged up in the preseason, hurt his knee, had to get surgery, plenty of time to heal it up. And he's going to offer you a little bit of run. He's not like, I feel like he'll be like in that Brock Purdy, the Baker Mayfield 8 range, right? I can see JJ getting you like 300 yards rushing this year, but I love JJ McCarthy in the system that he's in. I think Kevin O'Connell runs such a good system with such good weapons around him. I use him as a comparison. I know Addison's going to miss the first 4 games, but you got TJ Hockenson. You got, arguably the best receiver in the game in Justin Jefferson. You got Aaron Jones. They add Jordan Mason. They got a good offensive line. And look what this offense has done, right? This is a proven history offense. Sam Darnold, the cast-off in the NFL, quarterback 8 last year in 2024. In 2023, up until Kirk Cousins got hurt, which he played weeks 1 through 8, Kirk Cousins was quarterback 6. After that, Josh Dobbs came in weeks 9 through 12. Josh Dobbs was quarterback 8. That's right. Brainiac Josh Dobbs, who's not a good NFL quarterback, was quarterback 8 in fantasy. And then Nick Mullins came in weeks 15 through 18. Nick Mullins was quarterback 10 in that range as well. So this offense will naturally produce a quarterback 1. If Nick Mullins, Josh Dobbs, Kirk Cousins, and Sam Darnold can all be top 10 quarterbacks in this offense, there's not a doubt in my mind that JJ McCarthy, who's got a really good arm and who's accurate, can do that. In 2022, Kirk Cousins was quarterback 7. What happened to Kirk Cousins after he left this magnificent offense? His arm became like a porn star's niece, very weak. So for me, I think JJ McCarthy is set up perfectly to be a quarterback 1. And honestly, I might have him too low here at quarterback 12 because this offense, year in, year out, gives you top 10 production. I'm all in. JJ McCarthy, quarterback 1. I'm probably too low at 12, but you know what? Hey, nowhere to go up, nowhere to go but up, baby. Nowhere to go but up. JJ McCarthy to the moon.
Is that another porn star reference or no?
I mean, it depends what pills you're eating, Matt.
All right. I'm not that far off at JJ McCarthy. I could definitely see him finishing there. I don't have him in my top 12, but I'm not going to even knock you for it. I think
regrets.
With the weapons there, I and the offense that he's in, I think it's ripe for him to be in that sort of situation. So I'm not going to fight you too much. Who was number 11? I'm sorry,
Kyler Murray.
That was Murray. Okay. I thought it was somebody you already mentioned or we already talked about. All right. For me then, at number 11, this is my only fresh guy because at number 12, I have Brock Purdy. But number 11, I do have my guy, Bo Nix, and you know it. you knew I had to do it, right? I mean, last year, obviously from weeks 5 on, he's quarterback 5 overall, 21 and a half points per game. Basically, from that point, I'm going to give him a pass on the first few weeks as he was kind of learning the offense. But obviously, they bring in Evan Ingram. The coach was very kind of vocal in the offseason about needing to get a joker for this offense. Goes out and gets Evan Ingram, takes RJ Harvey in the second round. I think both those guys kind of qualify. For now, it's going to be Evan Ingram. If they can get a lot of passing game work out of a guy like RJ Harvey, then naturally he'll kind of evolve into that role. That's kind of Evan Ingram's aging out. So I really like that. And obviously, the third round pick, Patrick, somebody help me out here.
Pat Bryant.
Thank you, Pat Bryant. I said Patrick. That's what threw me off. Pat Bryant. Another guy that they like. I mean, he's getting praised right now for his blocking, which isn't going to be great for anyone out there's fantasy teams. But if he continues to block, he's eventually going to catch the coach's eye, and he's going to start getting passes as well. So I think obviously with Cortland Sutton getting signed to a long-term deal as well, kind of keeping the band together there from that respect, and having some of these other big play guys kind of just advance in another year in this offense along with Bo Nix, I think this is kind of a realistic spot for him to finish, if not higher. But we were making pretty strong arguments for the guys ahead of him, so he's got to fall somewhere. So for me, he was still within my top 12, and I got him here at 11.
And Troy, all reports are Troy Franklin's having a phenomenal camp, which, somebody who is not good at all last year. Yeah, he's had a really good camp so far, everything I've been reading here and out of Denver. So a lot of upside there with his receiving weapons after extending Cortland Sutton.
So for me, it's interesting because we do this based on, or at least my assumption, I guess we've never fully said it, but normally when you're doing season-long kind of predictions, the assumption is they play 17 games. But I had a hard time because I have a guy there at 11 that if it's points per game, I feel good about. But if it's season long, I feel less good about. And that's Justin Fields. So Justin Fields has yet to play a full season. He gets banged up every year he plays. So that's the hard part. If he plays a full season, I think it's very realistic for him to be a quarterback 1. In fact, 11 feels almost too low if he plays every game. But that feels unrealistic. So for now, I did keep him out, but that's where he would have landed kind of with my projections and everything. So that means quarterback 12 is Brock Purdy, and then quarterback 11 then would be Brock Purdy, and quarterback 12 would be Kyler Murray. 2 guys that we've already kind of touched on and talked about. Very solid assets. But man, I had a really hard time because even Bo Nix was the next guy, Matt. He was right there. And literally, I have projected points per game wise. Kyler Murray, 16.39. Bo Nix, 16.35. So, I mean, he really was right there.
Yeah, my just misses that when I get in where Drake made Justin Fields and Bo Nix. And I had Jared Goff right behind them, which is probably unfair to Goff as well. But like the rushing upside of all 3 of those guys. And you're right, Garrett, because Justin Fields was somebody I actually originally slotted Justin Fields in as my 9th finisher, because I mean, this is somebody when he plays on a points per game basis, you're right, he's top 8 right around, like that's what he does year in and year out. And I don't think, outside of his rookie season or even second year in Chicago before things went sideways, they got the number 1 overall pick. Like Justin Fields is totally locked in this year as a starter for all year. So all he has to do is stay healthy. And you're right. If he stays healthy, he's probably the guy that we don't have in our top 12. That's probably almost a lock to be a top 12 fantasy football quarterback. If we can do anything at all. I was a little bit worried about the touchdowns that would come with him, which I kind of bummed down a little bit as well. But with his Russian upside, there's a lot of opportunity there for him to be a quarterback 1.
Who's the backup there? Obviously, Tyrod Taylor is the direct backup, but he got injured. Who's the backup there now? Is Tyrod? I can't remember what happened to Tyrod. That one's one of those ones that washed over me. He's on like... He had like a
lungs. I don't know. It's always
he had like a quick surgery or something, didn't he? All right, never mind. I didn't mean to sidetrack.
Adrian Martinez is the backup, so the former Nebraska quarterback.
That's what it is. All right.
So let's go. We'll just read off our top 12 in order, and that's how we'll end the show. I'll go first. My top 12 quarterbacks in order, how I think they finished for 2025. Jayden Daniels, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, Jordan Love, Brock Purdy, Pat Mahomes, Dak Prescott, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, and JJ McCarthy.
All right. Up next is me. I will go Josh Allen at 1, Joe Burrow at 2, Lamar Jackson at 3, Jayden Daniels at 4. At 5, I got Baker Mayfield. 6, I have Jalen Hurts. 7, Dak Prescott. 8, Jared Goff. 9, Patrick Mahomes. 10, Kyler Murray. 11, Bo Nix. And at 12, Brock Purdy.
And last but certainly not least, I have Josh Allen, number 1, Lamar at 2, Joe Burrow at 3, Jayden Daniels at 4, Baker Mayfield at 5, Jalen Hurts at 6, Pat Mahomes at 7, Dak Prescott at 8, Drake May at 9, Caleb Williams at 10, sort of Justin Fields at 11, but more realistically, Brock Purdy at 11, and Kyler Murray at 12.
All right, we're back tomorrow with our top 12 running backs.
Adios.